When there's been a traumatic event such as bushfires, these can have serious long-term impacts on a child's health, especially their mental health. And even watching the events on TV or in the media, hearing about those things can be really distressing for children as well. So what we'd really like adults to know is the signs that we can see in children when they're becoming distressed, and the key things that we need to think about if we want to be able to help the children recover from these events. So in terms of a child's behaviour, there's lots of different things that we might see across the day, at home or at school or daycare, that may give some indication they are feeling distressed by things that have been happening for them. So these can present in a lot of different ways. So sometimes we see that kids might become more irritable or angry, they might have more tantrums, or it might be harder to get them to follow instructions. Sometimes too, we also see kids who might do things that might be a bit unusual for their age. So we might have a child that might be toilet trained, but suddenly they're having accidents again. Or we might have a child who was speaking really well and everyone could understand them, and suddenly they're using baby talk. So these are some signs that children may be becoming distressed. Some other things that we can see can be related to things like anxiety. So we might see that children want to be around you a lot more, they want to be really clingy with you. They might have trouble going to sleep, or they might be finding it hard to stay asleep, and they might be having things like nightmares or bad dreams that they're telling you about as well. Some other things that we can see are to do with children's eating patterns, so they might be a little bit more fussy with their eating. And some really important things to look out for at home, and especially if a child is at school or daycare, is how they're actually getting through their day. So can they concentrate? Are they able to do the tasks that they're usually able to do? It's also children asking questions about death and dying that they wouldn't usually ask before. So if you're noticing any of these things that I've mentioned, it's really important that you seek some more information and know what to do about how to help the children at this time. Kids can also express themselves through mediums such as play and not just talking, especially younger children. So it's really important to keep time in the day to be able to do things like play with your children. It's actually really important as well just to be able to keep as much of a routine as you possibly can. I know that sounds really hard, especially if you're not living at home at the current time, or if things are changing a lot with your current events. However, there's little things you can do throughout the day that can really help your child. For example, if there's a story or a song that you guys always talk about or sing together, that's a really important thing that you can keep doing regardless of where you are. If you have a little handshake or particular hug that you give a child, that's something that's consistent. No matter where you are, you can keep doing that with the child. So keeping those routines, keeping those little family rituals are really important, and give children a really nice sense of safety within their household. A final thing that we can think about for kids to help them in these tough times as well is limiting their media exposure. We know that news stories will often repeat, and often the news can be talking about things that are happening actually a long, long way away from where your children are actually living. It's really hard for them to be able to differentiate what's happening now and what's happening in the past in the media. So if you can't actually limit the child's exposure, what's really important too is for you to be able to sit down and watch that media coverage with the child, so you can give that extra information to help them to feel safe and not to be so worried. If you'd like any more information about the things that we've talked about today, please visit our website at actforkids.com.au.